whatever, what I'm using, why I'm doing it, just speak out. You can interrupt me, no problem. That's the first thing. I just want you to know you're welcome. I welcome any kind of questions that you might have. If I'm right in the middle of a critical point, I might hesitate before I answer you, but that's probably unlikely to happen. The other thing, I guess maybe I'll give you an idea, which you probably can surmise, but I'll say it anyway. I'll be painting on Archer's 140-pound rough paper. How many of you in here are watercolor artists? Okay, so you probably know a whole lot about this, but I'll say it anyway. I sometimes either paint on rough paper or cold press, either one or the other. I kind of use them interchangeably. My palette is, for the most part, Winsor Newton paints, with the exception of a couple of colors, like raw sienna. I use raw sienna instead of yellow ochre, and I use M-grain raw sienna, because I find that Winsor Newton yellow ochre, if you leave it in your well for any length of time, it's going to turn into little rocks. And it's almost impossible to reconstitute. M-grain, they use in their mediums, in their watercolor, instead of glycerin, they use honey. And honey doesn't harden. And so anytime if you have colors that you want to use, but you have difficulty with them reconstituting, if you can switch to M-grain, you'll find that they will reconstitute almost instantly. Really. And the only thing you have to worry about it's not really a joke, but I've been outside painting, and the bees love it. They somehow or other they sense it, and you might find a bee crawling around your color when you're using M-grain colors. My palette, you can probably see it up there, I think. I have basically two primaries I have a cool yellow and a warm yellow, a cool red, a warm red, cool blue, warm blue, and other variations of those on my palette, but basically that's my palette, and I can paint just about anything with those colors, with the exception that I cannot do without blue sienna. And I also need something like it makes a nice dark with, and I will use either paint gray or neutral tint. I can mix that with burnt sienna, and you can get a nice black with those colors. I have no greens on my palette. I mix all my greens. I can mix any color green you could think of with the colors that I have on my palette. And I like to do that because it's true sometimes when you're painting a landscape and there are a lot of greens in it, and you've got sap green, and you've got hooker's green, and maybe another one, and you keep on going back and forth between those three, and it can get a little overwhelming with green. That's why I like to mix them, because you can really get a lot of variations. Brushes, I've got too many brushes that I've collected over the years. I have a couple of big mops, like this one, and this one, squirrel hair mops, and I have a couple of smaller ones as well. I have a couple of flats, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, which you can't get these anymore, they don't make them, which bums me out. But a lot of the other brushes I have rounds, I have pointed rounds, and I have blunt rounds for different purposes. And I always say, I teach in my watercolor classes, and I say, always don't fall in love with a brush in your hand. You're going to have a variety of brushes. and you want to use the brush that's the most economical, the one that will cover, do what you wanted to do as simply and as quickly as possible. So sometimes I'll end up with 2 or 3 or 4 brushes in my fingers when I'm doing a passage. Okay. What I've chosen to paint today, it's a photograph, not a very good one, but that's okay. This is what I'm going to be. Can you think I can just do that? There you go. Okay, it's a. This is a railroad station in East Arlington, Vermont, and it's a wonderful spot to do some painting. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on around it. The buildings are interesting. And I chose this because of the, I love that roof. I love the light shining on that roof. You'll notice that this photograph, such as it is, it's kind of dark and it's green. I'm going to transpose this, translate this thing into a completely different color. I'm going to turn it into a full scene. Use this layout, use the composition, but I'm going to make it a full scene. They add some more color to the painting instead of just green. The first thing I'm going to do is, the obvious thing I'm going to be painting from light to dark. And what's the lightest thing in the photograph? Here we go. Lightest thing in the photograph of the sky and that roof. So I'm going to try to lay an establishing wash on the paper, and I'm going to, for the most part, paint around that roof. I'm going to try to avoid that roof. I might let a little color slip into it, but it's going to be for the most part, it's going to be white paper with maybe a little bit of color in there. The sky, I mean, I'm going to put some more color in the sky than I see here. This is kind of blah. It's just kind of a wishy-washy blue. So, okay. Anybody got any questions so far? Yes, sir. I'm saying that again. I can't quite listen. I know you got to answer. That's okay.
Should we be concerned about light facets that come and exclude stains and transparent? Or just
hey, yeah, right. And if I understand your question, will you say it again?
there's some panels that are just transparent.
Yes. Yes.
You just erase it.
That's right.
And there's ones that are stains.
Yes.
You can't.
Right.
Can we combine them?
Absolutely. Oh, I get your question. Absolutely. I have staining colors on here. I have easily lifted, cobalt blue and cerulean and what's the other one? I can't think of the other one. There are three primary that you can paint and you can lift them practically. We're just back to white paper. I have those on my palette. I have phthalo blue on here, green shade, green shade, which is a permanent color. I have permanent alizarin crimson. That's a permanent color. I have opaque colors. I have some cadmiums on here. I have a lot of transparent colors. I have manganese blue and bird sienna is a transparent color. I intermix them. I really don't concern myself with whether it's transparent, opaque, permanent, or whatever. I might think about it depending upon the particular passage I'm doing, but generally, no, I don't. But that's a good question. So I'm going to lay a wash on here. I'm going to be making up colors in here, interpreting colors any way I want. And I'm not going to be, it may not all be that literal, but that's okay. Hopefully when I get all done, it'll look okay. When I do a wash, sometimes I'll wet the paper ahead of time, dampen it, and then sometimes I'll just start at the top and come down, keep the bead going, go from top to bottom. Today I'm going to dampen the paper first. So I will put some water on my paper here, and I'm going to avoid that roof, because I'd rather not have paint go into that roof until I decide I want to, and then I'll do it. So I'm painting, I'm going to dampen around that roof for the most part anyway, and everything else I can pretty much ignore. And I come down here and I'll put some water there and there, dampen that.
Can you talk about how you prepare your watercolor paper?
Sure,
Do something different.
you bet. I stretch the paper on this piece of board here, which is home soap board, which is really, it's a construction, the type of soundproofing board that you can get at a hardware store or Home Depot, or I don't know what Home Depot, but you can get it, and unfortunately they sell it in 4x8 sheets. And you have to either get someone to go in with you so that you can get two or three of these a piece. And but if you cut them, don't cut them in your house. Make sure you cut them outside with the saber saw, because when you cut this with a saw, a power saw, you'll be vacuuming forever, because it's paper, old paper that's been crushed together, and it just becomes powder. Yes, sir.
Could you just say the name of what that board is again?
It's home soap.
Home soap.
Home soap. HOMESOT. And then the paper. This is a half sheet of paper, and I just take a sponge and I dampen, pretty well dampen the one side, I turn it over, dampen the other side, then I turn it back to where I started, and I usually try to paint on the quote, what they call the good side. As far as I can't tell the difference between the two sides, but I just usually look for the watermark where it says Arches or whatever paper you're using, and I start there, do both sides, and then come back and do the last side, and then I set it aside for 5 minutes or so, let the paper expand, as it will, because as it's absorbing water, the paper's getting a little bit bigger, and you'll get a little hump in the middle of your paper. When you lay it on the board and you set it aside for 5 or 10 minutes, there'll be a hump, a ridge, literally going right down the paper, and then I take a staple gun. I have a staple gun, and I staple one end, and then I pick the paper up and kind of stretch it, get that ridge out, that hump out, and lay it back down on the paper, and I hold it there, and then I go with my staple gun on both top and bottom, and then the other side. And then I set it aside and let it dry. And as it dries, the paper shrinks back, tries to shrink back to its original size, and basically it does. The advantage is that when I'm painting, I minimize the amount of buckling that I might get in the process of painting. And that's about it. And let's see. All right, I'm going to dampen that a little bit again. I gotta just see where I'm at here. Okay. I don't want it too wet, but I just want it damp so that I don't want any hard edges, any sharp edges at this point in time. So I'm going to start. I'm going to take a brush and I'm going to put some colors on my paper. And instead of a blue sky, I'm going to have It's going to be, I'm going to make a warm sky. So I'm going to start with, some cadmium orange here. Put some of that on my paper, on my palette. And let's see, get a little of that there, maybe a little bit of yellow, cad yellow. There. I want some alizarin crimson on here too. And I'm going to kind of buffer that a little bit with maybe ultramarine blue. I'm going to have a little of that over here. Okay, so now I'm going to take some, let's see, I'll have it warmer over here. Because I'm going to assume that the light, because of that roof, we're going to say the light is coming from over here. What sun there is going to be coming from over here. So I'm going to have some of the lighter, warmer values over here. So I'm just going to put that down here, spread that around with my brush, and I'll add some more orange to it here. Going right down into the trees, I'm ignoring all the trees and everything for the moment. And I'm going to put a little bit of alizarin in there just to add a little more interesting color to the sky. And over here, I'm going to get maybe a little bit more. It'll still be warm over here. Then I'm going to modify that. I'm going to cool that off a little bit with a little bit of ultramarine blue. I don't want streaks, so I'm going to go right across. That looks kind of dull, so I'm going to add some more color to that. And that's going to dry. This is going to dry lighter, as we all know, so I'm going to put some more color into this. I'm going to put some more color into that too, because I know that before I get done, that's going to be a lot lighter than what I'm going to want. So there. I've kind of established the sky. Now I'm going to smooth that out. And I'm going right across the paper. I'm not stopping with my brush. If I stop, I'm going to get that. And I don't want that. So I go right across the paper. So there I've got a kind of a nice warm sky there. And I'm going to come on down, but I want that color to permeate pretty much the whole painting. So I'm going to incorporate those colors into my foreground here. And here's some more water here because I don't want hard edges here. And I'm going to put some of that warm tones on the side of that house. And that nice brush, I can put that chisel edge there. There we go. I'm going to put some burnt sienna in the foreground here, just because it's ground. It's still a warm tone, but maybe up in here too. Okay, here's a start. I don't worry about that. I can get that later. Maybe I can Okay. There's my first wall, first lady. Now we gotta talk, because I gotta go to this right. I'm gonna use my hair dryer to help that along, but I'll put it on low so it won't drown anybody out. And you can ask me any other questions you want to ask at this point in time. Say that again. The pallet. It's a John Pike pallet. It's an old John Pike pallet. I've had it forever, and I really like it. There are a lot of other ones that are perfectly fine. I just kind of like that one. Just probably because I'm used to it. I use, just to let you know, occasionally I use masking fluid if I really need to. I like to avoid it if I can. Can't always do that, but I like to try. And I do a lot of lifting after something the color has dried or before it's dried. I will lift some paste with a sponge or a paper towel. And of course, I'll use opaque white if I feel I need to. And I scratch out, do all kinds of stuff. Take a knife and scratch out whites and highlights and things like that. And that's going to take a little while, but that's okay. I'll just keep it going slowly on here. What else can, I'm trying to think of everything I haven't covered here really, as far as what I'm planning on doing after this is dry, by the way, is I'm going to be working on the midtones in the photograph, the next step. And that will be the trees in the background, and some of the foreground, some parts of the building. And the very last thing that I will do will be, I'll put in that water tower. There's that water tower up there, as you can see, up above the trees. I don't like the position of it in the photograph. It's a tangent with the top of the trees. So I'm going to raise it a little bit above where I see it in the photograph, so that it doesn't, thank you, Tony, so that it doesn't create that tangency with the top of the trees, compositionally. That's another thing I'm moving things around. If the tree is in the wrong spot, and when I'm painting something, I'll move the tree. You don't need to be a slave to what it is that you're painting. You got to be hopefully in control of the painting that you're doing. And if you got to move things around, move things around. Yes, sir. What kind of grain? It's rough. It's 140-pound Arches rough paper for this particular painting. Yes.
I have been told you've heard that Arches was sold to another company and that the new blocks are different from the old blocks. I used only old paper, it was a couple of years old. Have you or anybody had an experience with the new Arches?
Well, I don't know what new, yes, it's a hand graded. It seems different? It does not. I have not noticed any difference. I don't know who bought out Arches. I think I'm going to have to assume, even though some other company has bought it out, I'm going to have to assume that Arches is still going to be making their paper in the same place they've been making it forever. Because I think I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but for them to move to a different facility and make the paper differently than they've been making it for ever, 1492, would be, I would think it'd be a kind of a stupid thing to do. Archers is, I mean, I know there are other very good watercolor papers, but I think Archers is probably used by more artists than any other company. And to start messing around with that would be, I would think, would be a real marketing mistake. So I have not noticed any difference in the quality of the paper. I will be looking for that to see if that in fact happens. I've tried other papers, all of the, Fabriano, and they're all good papers, but I always come back to Arches. Maybe it's just because I'm used to it. I don't know. But other companies make, Sanders and I don't know, makes paper, and they're all very good. But I just like Arches paper. I guess it's because I'm used to it, and I've been using it for ever. We're getting there. The reason I got to wait because I want to be able to have a little more control over my second wash here. And if I don't wait until I've got a fairly dry start here, I'm going to be sorry because things will start to bleed where I don't want them to go. I want to be able to control that. I want to be able to control that bleed and not have it happen on its own, so to speak. But it's coming along fine. Now, as I look at this photograph here, and in my own head, I'm looking at that roof, and it's telling me that the main light source is over here. Otherwise, that roof would not be reflecting as much light as it is. And I'm going to be using that same light source, even though. It doesn't look, when I took this photograph, it looks like it was an overcast day. I don't see any strong shadows in that photograph. So it must have been overcast. And I'm going to be, while my sky is not overcast, I'm going to make the assumption that, for my purposes, that there's a big mountain over here, and the sun is just dropped below the edge of that mountain. Still very bright, but it's dropped below the edge of the mountain, so I don't have any hard shadows going across the foreground of my painting. Not that I couldn't do that. I suppose I could incorporate that too, and I may decide to do that. I don't know. But I'm going to assume that that's what's happened in my painting. And so the tree line is going to be, for all intents and purposes, those trees are going to be backlit. If that sun is way over here, then all those trees are going to be backlit, and so they'll be they will be darker than they would be if the sun was shining right on them. Is what I guess what I'm saying. So, and that will give me an advantage in making this roof really pop off the paper, hopefully when I get done. That's the idea anyway. And so, if I put that up there, you can't see that. Okay, and I'll put it, if I put it over here, can you see it? Yes, you can. Okay, I want you to be able to see that. I think it's dry enough. I would ordinarily, I might wait a little bit longer, but I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to wait any longer. So I'm going to switch brushes now because I want to be able to paint in a different way. And so I'm going to go for a kind of a big soft round mop here when I put those trees in. And remember I said I'm going to make this a fall scene. So the trees are going to be, they'll be warm. It's Vermont, reds and oranges and siennas and that kind of thing. So I've got a good start on those colors on my palette here. I just need more of them. So I'm going to get some more cadmium orange on my palette here. Put that on there. And so I don't have to keep on rinsing my brush. I'm going to pick up another brush, and I'm going to use some other brushes here to get some more paint on my palette. I have some, this is not actually cadmium red. This is Scarlet Lake. Very much like cadmium red, it's slightly more pink than cadmium red, but it's, for all intents and purposes, it's like cadmium red, except that Scarlet Lake is very transparent. Well, cadmium lake, all the cadmiums you probably will, they're kind of rather more on the opaque side than on the transparent side. So I got that there, and I'm going to go get some alizarin, permanent alizarin, and I'm going to put some of that right there, because I'm probably going to want that. And I know I'm going to want some burnt sienna, so I'm going to get another brush, and I'm going to make a big puddle of burnt sienna here. We've got to work that up. Okay, we're getting there. Now I'm going to also need something to kind of neutralize, cool down some of these colors. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to go to the other side of the color wheel and get a blue going here, so I can neutralize and ease some of these bright colors that I've got on my palette. See, I already got two brushes in my hand, and I'll probably have two or three more before I get done. Because the sun is over here, I'm going to have the trees a little bit brighter on the right side here, and they're going to get a little bit darker and a little more dense as they come closer into the foreground. I'm also going to take another brush, and I'm just going to wet it with water so I can soften an edge if I want to. And I'm certainly going to want to. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a combination here of Cad Red and Scarlet Lake. Way over here. And I see it's kind of a mountain here, and I will just hit that. And I'm going to scrub it a little bit with my brush. And I'm going to hit that edge with a wet brush, soften that edge a little bit. And let's see, I'm going to modify that with a little bit of ultramarine blue in here, just to soften that a little bit, get a little bit of green in there. And how about a hit of red right there? Sure. And I'm going to be pushing the brush a little bit to get a feeling of trees. Dry that out a little bit. I can create some feeling of broken trees there. Some burnt sienna in here. come on down. There's a couple of houses down in here. I'm going to try and paint around. I'm going to try and make believe there's a roof back there. So I'll paint around. No, I don't have to because that's pretty dark. So what I will do, I'll just take that wet brush and I'm just going to take some of this. Well, I'll take a little burnt sienna here. And I'm just going to hit that right there with burnt sienna. And ultimately that's going to become a roof for another building back there. And I'm going to keep on coming across here with my paint. And I'm going to get some burnt sienna here. And I'm going to go right up to my roof here with this. There. Big tree there. Now I'm going to start dropping in some blues in here. Darken some of that. Some yellows. And before this dries over here, I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to drop in a green tree in here, pine tree maybe. There's some of those around. Dark there. I'm just thinking shapes now. Just thinking shapes. Some more darker trees in here. Some burnt sienna in there. Some blues. I gotta get darker here. Okay. Some paint gray. Yes, that's a nice deep dark color right in here. Make that roof with a tree right in there. And maybe back in there a little bit too. And it can come down underneath that white. And I'm going to go from there. See, I already got 3 brushes in my hand. I'll make it a little bit lighter, a little bit greener in here. Start to get a little more horizontal. Let's see, where am I? Right about there. Okay, so I'm down and around. I want to get some more green, maybe more olive. Just green as a green tree. I don't know why not. You see that color making it look how I'm not even doing that. It's making trees for me. I don't even have to do that. I'm going to put a couple more darks in here, I think, to balance some of this. Maybe suggesting some individual trees there. Leave that little orange hump there. And I'm going to continue all the way around here. So I'm going to go back to my orange. territory, so I'll use my biggest brush. Okay. What does my picture look like? Yeah, there's a big tree right in there. And then it comes right down like that. Actually, I can let that, I don't have to worry about that so much. Matter of fact, I'm going to let that, because this is going to get darker anyway. I don't want to have that warm. Okay, that's okay. Now I'm going to go back and get some more color into that tree. And have to be conscious of the color, the shapes that I'm making. Alizarin in there. And I'm going to get my finger in there and kind of since we're getting into the foreground here, we can get a little more texture perhaps. Scrumble with that brush. Get some bright orange right in there just because I feel like it. And I'm going to take, I'm going to go back to this square. There it is. I'm going to put some of that color right into this back of this house here. And get that nice edge in there. Ah, good. And that there. I'm eliminating this building here. I'm not going to put that in there. And these are all midtones in here. I'm not, this is not nearly as dark as it's going to get. In here, I'm going to pick up this color here and go right across there with a darker tone. Maybe I can use a different color. Just because I feel like it. I'm going to get some cobalt teal and incorporate cobalt teal right in here. I like that. That's the building. Okay. And I guess there is a fence here. I gotta come across here with a value, a lighter value. That's okay, I'm gonna go back into that later on. Put that down with a big brush here. Big orange tree right here. backside of this tree is going to get pretty dark. So I'm going to go for my obtained gray here, along with the cadmium orange, make a deep green, kind of anchor the end of that. And I'm thinking shapes. Matter of fact, I'm thinking shape all the time I'm working. And I can come right down to there, and then this is going to become brown here. And it's going to be warm, probably, maybe a little greener. Come in here, leave a couple little white shapes in there. Don't know what they are, but that's okay. I think I need to put something in here. It's even in the photograph too. I can put a big darker tree in the fence. I'm going to get myself some fresh sienna. I don't know what that is. I'm looking to see how dry that is. It's almost getting to where I want it to be. All right, in the foreground here, you can see this foreground is going to be the biggest difficulty of the painting. I can tell right now. I want to keep a horizontal feeling to this foreground because that's where the railroad tracks are. And fill that in, because I don't know where I'm going to drop the bottom of this painting. And take a credit card and put in a couple of tree trunks in here. Just a couple of marks. Just creating shapes back in here. Well, I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna let that dry before I do some more, although, you know what? I can take that credit card. Order this little piece in here, so this is I'm gonna do. Where did it go? Maybe I don't. Well, I'm gonna put in a house in here, I think. Yeah, there's a house. I'll play with that a little bit later. I got the roof in and, you know, that kind of stuff.
What did you see as being a problem with water?
Well, I don't know yet. Because foreground can be a challenge. First of all, I want to put railroad tracks in here, you know, and how do I put railroad tracks in here at this point in time? I want to have them as if they're reflecting the light from the sky on the steel of the railroad track, right? So I may be lucky right now in being able to put in the railroad tracks. And let's see, that's going to...
Can you point out on your picture where that is?
Right in here. There are railroad tracks in here. Several of them. And I want to have them coming from around the back of the railroad station and coming this way. So I'm going to try to squeeze that out right now. And it will determine, there's some of it right there, and then I'm going to make a curve, sharp curve, and run a railroad track right, and it's dried already, see? It already dried on me, and I can't quite do it. Maybe I can get the other one started in here. Well, yeah, see, it's already dried on me, but that's okay. I can go back in and restate that. But you get the idea, that's what I'm trying to accomplish. And there's actually another one in here, and I probably have an easier time of doing that because it's damper. Well, that's okay for the moment. This needs to be a little bit sharper here, like that. I gotta let that dry. And I gotta think about that roof. See, that roof now has become too stark white. Not a problem. I can go back into there. Yes, you got a question.
I was just wondering, that when you wanted to make a design of the railroad,
Yes.
would it be not do the painting or not do so much painting?
Yes. Yes. I could. I will redefine that with some more paint. But if I understand your question, in other words,
Yeah,
I-
you would be maybe some
Yes.
other space.
that's right. I mean, I have other choices to do there. I can go back in with some opaque white paint in there. I could have, had I wanted to, I could have gone in there with fixative. I mean, what am I trying to say? Masking. And I could have masked. I could have painted those railroad tracks in there before I ever started. And I could do anything I wanted. And when I get all done, I could peel it up, and have my railroad tracks. I chose not to do that. So this is it's getting to be dark, dry enough. This doesn't necessarily now have to be totally, completely dry.
Well, it's Ron.
Yeah.
Take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, so we'll give 5 to 5.
Yeah, 5 to 10 minute break and we come back to it. That'll give us a chance to talk. Well, let's see. Things are drying out pretty well here. I pretty well know what I'm going to do with the house here. So I'm going to I'm going to work on this area back in here. I need to darken some of this area back in here. That will do two things. It'll bring that little house out a little bit more. I don't want to make it too important, but I want to bring that house out a little more, and I want to decide exactly what I want, where I want this land and the trees and all that to wind up, so to speak. So I'm going to let's see. What brush do I want to use? I'm going to use a round brush. I just want to do it. Someone asked me if I'm going to use some clean water. Not yet. Not yet. I think I'm okay. As long as I'm in this color scheme and I'm working with darks, that dirty water will be just fine. It'll be just fine. So I'm going to work in this area here a little bit, wet this up a little bit. I got some nice fresh sienna on here now. So I'm going to get a wet brush in my hand. I may need that one with some paint on it, so I'll take this one. I'll get this brush and just let it wet so I can soften an edge. I really like to soften an edge. So I'm going to put some dark in here. And I'll switch brushes again. Here I am with more brushes in my hand, but that's okay. And I'm going to make some more shapes in here. Let's see, that roof is going to drop down. And I can come across the top of that with a chimney. Don't have to go all the way across. And I'm going to take my brush and soften that edge. Don't need to do too much there. Just enough to suggest that the little house back there, and also to balance some of the darks that are going to be over here too. I'm going to trim that back, clean that up. I'm going to put a little, since that roof is picking up a little bit light, the side of that building then would be a little bit darker, and I might put a little bit more, maybe slightly more red in here, just drag some of that House could be red. Some shapes. Here's that gable. Couple of darks in here. Drop a dark in there. I'm putting in here what I call stuff. It's not anything in particular. It's just shapes. And it makes it look like it's something. There's a house. And I can come on down to here with some more shapes. I don't need to do much more than that. Oh, I can put a couple of verticals in here. I don't know what they are, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm okay with that right now. That'll do. I think it's too little. Okay. I'll be dealing with this later on. I'm going to work on this building now. And I'm going to use my flat brush because I'm going to make some kind of crisp edges there. I'm going to get some paint gray. And I'm going to get some burnt sienna. And I'm going to wet up some more of that cobalt teal, which I'm going to put on the side of that building because I like it. Not a whole lot more, but a little bit more. So I'm going to take this now and let's see, it would be lighter and maybe redder up on top and get darker as it goes down into the shadow here. So I'm going to start here and put that edge of that roof in. Now I'm going to drop some of that cobalt teal in there, just because I like it. And go back to the dark. And come down into here, let's see, like this. And get rid of part of the building there. Now I'm just going to use this brush and create some shapes in here. And make a bigger shape, and then another smaller one. And maybe that fence continues. Now I'm going to take that wet brush, and I'm going to soften this edge right here because that's going into that tree. So that there wouldn't be a hard edge there. That would be soft. But I'm going to drop in some darks in there. And I need a horizontal in here. And one in there, one there. There's some fences in there. I don't know what they are, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Soften that a little bit, lighten that a little bit. little statement right here. Yeah, I'm just thinking shapes here. And then I'll let that kind of dissolve into that tree. I have to put a base to that tree in there, and that's going to be quite dark. So I can take some of this nice dark, maybe more orange, because that's what that tree is, and go in here. Dark. Yeah. Don't like that shape, so we'll change it. Soften that edge. I'm just making shapes here, folks. That's all I'm doing. I'm looking at this and seeing what kind of shapes do I need. Now I got to get the front of this. I got that nice blue, that nice cobalt blue there. I want to continue that. I don't have to do too much more to that, but I'm going to take some of that cobalt blue. It's not really strong. I'm going to pull that down. I'm going to dry that brush. I'm going to get a, where's my paper towel? There it is. On a jagged. There's a fence there, across the front of that. So that's up to this height here, so I'm going to have to bring that down. That's okay, I can do that. That needs to come down further. So I'm going to make this more, this is going to be more of the house, side of the house here. I'm going to obliterate some of those marks that I made. And then down here, where I'm going to put those, I'm going to put that fence. Yeah. That makes more sense to me. Yeah, because I want to continue that. And we'll make a straight shape there. I'll put a diagonal in there, just because I want one. And this will come down. Okay. Oops. That's okay. Doesn't look too bad. Just do that. And that'll become part of the foreground. Okay, so now I gotta put, I'll go for a little bit warmer here. And I'm gonna put, there is a, a lighter value in here. Just creating a shape in here. Now I'm going to see, there is a, get dark in here. I don't know if this is the right brush for this. Trying to figure out what that building does. Okay, I'm going to switch brushes. I'm going to get a smaller flat brush, like this one here. It's a 1/2 inch flat. See if I can create that thing, that building coming through the slats. There's another gate there. Some kind of a fence or gate. And I'm just going to make a straight, just break that up. And then there's a dark shape right in here. Opening perhaps in that. I'm not sure about that, but we'll leave that alone for the moment. That's okay. Okay, I want to concentrate on what's going on back in here. And I don't have to do too much there. I guess I kind of don't like those marks that I made there, so I'm going to kind of obliterate some of those a little bit, make them a little less obvious, just by knocking down the value. That's much better, much better. And I can make a little bit more of this house here just by darkening some of those edges. And okay, now I've got to do a little bit of building shapes in here. So this transitions into the foreground a little bit. That bothers me. That little line right there, I don't like that. So I'm going to rub in some value, color in there. Break that up a little bit. That's better. And that will now, ultimately, on this drive, I got to do something with that white roof, for sure. And I'm going to work on some of this, a little bit of this top of this tree. I got to be careful up here. I don't want to get too fussy with the shapes up there, but I think I can make a little bit more. I can define that whole shape a little bit better. And in order to do that, I'm going to take a big round brush And I think if I took some orange and I drop some orange in here and I make another tree right in here at the top of that, like the sun maybe hitting that. Yeah. That kind of separates that from that a little bit. And since I've got a pine tree here, I can take some of that blue, neutralize it a little bit. Not quite so bright a blue, and I can come in here, I think, and finish that pine tree a little bit more. Bring that green down. I think it needs a little more something else up here that's green. Now I got to deal with the bag. While that's drying, I'm going to deal with the foreground here. So, then I can say I want to do something up there as well. I don't know yet what, but something. Of course, I have to put that water tower in there. And I forgot about that. And that'll be nice. Okay, I am going to get some burnt sienna. And let's see. And switch colors here, put some darks in here, break this up. And maybe get some reds or something in here. Red, let's see. So I told you that was going to give me trouble, and it is. So what do I need to do? I need to shake it up. Okay. Yeah, it needs some cool. That's what I need. Shake it up some more, and then use some different cools back in here. can be less defined. I'll go back in there and define that a little bit better. I think what I need is a different direction. Too much this. So I'm going to make believe there's something that's creating another shape. And they're going this way. I don't know what it is, it doesn't matter. I guess it needs to be just. That's better. More of that too. And I'm going to suggest some of those colors, some of those oranges down in here too. No, wrong color. The reds maybe. Or burnt siennas. I like the darks. I'm going to get some more of those neutral darks in there, but not that dark. Unless I invent something beforehand, I could do that too. You know, it's something I've realized, I found out, having painted for a long time, that you do a painting and it's not working, you know, like it, and you think, what's wrong? What's the problem? 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it's the values. It's the values. You haven't made enough oomph, if I can use that word, out of the values. You look at the painting, and it's not working. Be bold, take a brush full of something really dark and put it in there, and invariably the painting will improve much to your satisfaction. It's almost always values. And that's what I'm finding right now. What I was, I'm saying, what's wrong? Why isn't this foreground working? And I'm saying, so it's the values. And I can, I'm thinking, well, these are railroad tracks. There's going to be a lot of junk lying around here, and I can put in some other little dark accents in here, without overdoing it. And I think it helps the whole painting by putting in some of those darker colors and values, I should say, not colors but values. Now that roof is probably dark and dry enough for me to put in a value in. Now the question is, what color do I want to put there? I'm thinking like a pink roof. Might just be what I need here. So in order to do that, you're all looking at me. See that? blind, and you might be right. You might be right, but I gotta find a spot here. Well, I'll use a door here. I'm going to get some red here. I'm not sure what color pink it should be. I'm going to add some alizarin to that. I don't want the same kind of pink that's in the trees. How about add a touch of ultramarine blue to that? I'd almost make it a violet kind of a pink. I don't know. Let me see how good that is. No, that's pretty dark. I just add enough water to it. Of course, it'll dry later. I just want it very pale, and I just want to see what happens. I can always wipe it out if I don't like it, but not bad.
God, I was thinking of a bright pink.
Well, it could
No,
be.
I'm teasing.
It could be.
Teasing.
It could be, except I would end up with a value that might be too close to the trees back there, and I don't want to do that. But pink isn't bad with a little bit of texture in there, and there is texture in there. I'm going to wipe out a little bit just to create some shapes in there. Of course, remember, it's an old roof, an old building. And I have that as a pole, it's a wonderful pole that goes right up through there. And then there's my water tower that I haven't put in yet. And let's see, how is that? It's getting, I wonder if I can squeeze in some interesting shapes in here. Just some rectangles. Textures in the foreground, oh yeah. Maybe some ends of railroad ties. Okay, the pink roof isn't bad. It just kills that white, which is all I wanted. Now I want to get where's my pencil? There it is. I want to put that water tower in. I don't know that I'm going to leave that color now. That's okay. The water tower. I can put it anywhere I want. I can put it over here. Round on top, straight sides, round on bottom, and 3 legs. One there, one there, one there. Not in the middle, but right there. So you got 2 in the front and 1 in the back there, total of 3. And you got the little catwalk around it. Like that. Okay. It's got to reflect some of that warm sky there, but it certainly I certainly don't want it to be red or orange, except for maybe just a rim light of orange. But I'm going to make it a darker kind of. Maybe this is the wrong brush. I'm going to use this one. kind of a neutral shade of color there. So, just crown that, and down, and down, around the bottom. There we go. Let's straighten that out a little bit. Sure. Now I can't do the, I gotta do the lake with a different brush. Round brush nonetheless, same color, but there's the leg. And there's one there, and another one back there. Oh, that's right, there's that little catwalk. Can't do it with that brush, I switch brushes. And the little catwalk is right down here. And then I said, I gotta pay homage to that warm light on there, which would have to be certainly there. So I'm going to take a little bit of a warm tone, and I'm going to drop it right in. Let's see, it would be lighter. So I'm going to take a dry brush and I'm going to lift up. I'm going to lift up a little bit of that color on the edge of that. Lighten that a little bit. Across the top. Like that. And then I'll drop in just a little bit of warmth, if I can call it that, on that edge. Just like that. That's all. Just to and I'll whittle it dry a little bit more. I don't like that roof. So I'm going to redo that roof a different color. I think I'm going to go with red. Kind of a red roof. It's just jumping out of the picture. It's too much. That's better. That's better. And you see this color here? I don't like that. I want to make that cooler. I want to make that cooler, even though there's a lot of oranges and stuff reflecting into it. I want to dull that down a little bit. Ooh, that's still damp. I forgot about that. Everybody all right? Good. Okay. You see that edge bleeding in there? Didn't want that. Forgot I had just painted that. I waited. So now I'm going to have to lift that out. I can wait a little while, but if I dry that up, I can go back in there and hit that with a paper towel. And restate that later, maybe. No, that's okay. And I think what I want to do, you know, this goes back in the distance here. I wonder if I can lighten some of this a little bit. I think I can. And a little bit of water. Is that dry yet? Almost. Okay. I'm going to be. What am I going to do with the brush? It's the wrong one. Okay, I'm going to put a couple of windows in that station. I know we've got it in some. So, in the doorway. Make a critique here. I think, and I'm going to play with it. I think I've got the foreground too dark. And so consequently I'm going to lighten it a little bit. Not here so much, but back in here. So I'm going to take some paper towel and I'm just going to scrub into the paper. And one of the nice things about Archer's paper is you do a lot of scrubbing on it and it comes right back and it doesn't really, it can't really do too much damage to it. No, clean. Not only that, but I'm getting a nice little texture in it, which doesn't hurt either. Okay, I'm going to ask you, what do you think, you're going to help me paint this. You see this kind of cobalt blue I have going in the building here? I think I need some of that somehow in the foreground. I just think I do. And so I am going to get this brush, and I'm going to take some of the cobalt blue, and okay, and I'm going to put some of that cobalt blue here in the foreground. And I'm going to scrumble. Very dry brush, very, very dry brush. Don't need too much of it, some of it. Better already. It's better already. I don't know if you guys what you see. Yeah. it helps. It was too, the foreground, I felt was too divorced from the other part of the painting back here. Okay? So I'm thinking, well, I can use a little bit of that color in here, and I think it helped a great deal. I'm going to, well, that's still soaking wet, okay. That should be dry, yes it is. What time is it? I have no idea. Oh, it's after 3 o'clock. I'm gonna let you people go home then, here. I'm gonna do a couple of other things.
Before we go home, I had a few comments to make.
Yes. I just want to take some of this with my fancy brush and put a couple of get a little mini or don't have any of that in here. I'm just making marks. Maybe there's a wider one close there. Why not? It's a railroad station, right? There could be 2 wires. There. And one more thing, then I'll let you do your thing. Maybe I can use this brush. I'll just do this and then I'll quit. So I need some texture in this roof, Okay. That's all I need.
Excellent job. I don't need the mic. You guys can hear me back there, I'm assuming, right? Okay. You're still teaching, I'm assuming.
Oh, yes, yes.
And keep in mind, it's not the case teaching. Anybody from the area, if you're interested, there's your man right there. He does a beautiful job. Thank you very, very much for this demo.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it.
Incredible. A couple